Good morning, everyone. Oh, we've greeted quite a couple of people. We have people from all over the place. And so it's absolutely a gorgeous, gorgeous day today. We've got so much exciting things we want to share with you. I think the topic we have today is a very good topic. I think it's something that people don't always think of. You are welcome to put your camera on. If you have a question, you can do a little wave, or you can raise your hand with the reaction button, or you can just type in your question in the chat, and my team will bring it to my attention and we will respond to it. But welcome to this morning session. And of course, we've got some exciting things happening. Next week, we are in Cape Town. So I said to Aloma already, I hope she's going to join us in the morning on next week, Tuesday. Its registration start at 9 for 9:30. I know everything starts a bit later in Cape Town. So get your way to be there at about 9, between 9 and 9:30 and register. We're going to have an amazing session. We are having Zabeth from Averley. I don't know if you guys heard about Averley before. It's an amazing new way to sort of get an idea how good of a tenant you're actually placing. At this stage, we just have to look at credit reports, and we all know credit reports aren't always doesn't have all the details we need, especially if they don't have credit agreements, or if they're a foreigner. So Averley's got an amazing new way of rating a tenant, and Expella is working very closely with them at this stage. So please, even if it's just to come and listen to her, you're not going to be disappointed with that. So that's one of the things. Then I don't have a slide in, but we've got very, very exciting news. Armand is online today as well. Armand is a director here at Expella. He's full-time with Expella, and we are super excited about it. So you see, there's the handsome man now. He's still frowning. You know, he's a people person, and if you've met him, you know that Armand likes coffee. He likes meeting people, and so to get him in the office is already a exciting thing, because he's always out and about. So we are very excited to introduce Armand for those who don't know him. And if you wanted to come and drink coffee, please, you're welcome to give him a call in the Gauteng area, just to add that. He won't be able to come to Middelburg or anything to that immediately. He is, however, going to be at the private property events in Polokwane on Tuesday. Armand, yes, Tuesday. So if you guys going there, please look out for him. He's the most friendly person I know. So that's something definitely you guys going to have a look at. So just for the Cape Town event, I'm dropping a link in the chat. You can follow that link, go register, and we will see you next week, Tuesday. That's going to be absolutely amazing. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the things that we want to discuss. And I think it's something that everybody does so in the normal sense of business. They don't really think about it. And I saw with Expella, we see a lot of applications and we see the considerations. And the thing that came up in my mind was, do you do a tenant recommendation, or do you do a data dump? Now, what do I say? It's actually a thing, data dump. It's not a swear word. It's an actual thing. And what do I mean by that is, have you ever been in a situation, and the only other good example I could get is, if you go to a doctor and you now want to hear, what's wrong with me, what's the diagnosis? And imagine you're sitting there and you're looking at the doctor, and the doctor tells you, here's your blood tests, here's the x-rays and all the results. Tell me, what do you want to do? And now you have to look at all of these things, and you don't know whether it's good or bad. And I think sometimes that is how many owners feel about, when they get the information. So let's look at it. What does an agent do? They go and they find a tenant. I mean, you get your applicants, and as soon as you get your applicant, you proceed to get all the documents together. I mean, that's one of the things that we've discussed in the past. You get the bank statements, you get the salary slips, and then you start doing your various checks. You get your credit report, whether it's TPN, Experian, PayProp, whatever report you as a company use. Then what I often see is everybody just take all of that information and they give it to the owner. Now, yes, what is convenient, and we know the TPN report very well, because on the top it says like it's an A, B, C, D, E rating, and it will proceed to say, is there possibility of squatting? Do they have affordability? You know, that little top part of the TPN one. And what I often think is, that is what the owner then at the end of the day used to guide them to decide whether they should accept this tenant or not. And I don't think always that is the correct full information, because there's more to it than just on that credit report. Even, I mean, you have instances where people, you know, get those circles and it's got a number in it. I mean, what does that number mean? Should I have 800? Is 500 fine? You know, you look at all of this and you get this, I don't know what it is. And two things is, if one look at the information, this sort of popped up in my mind. Ne? It's different pieces of clothing. And what we all do, many people do, is they grab all of this information and they just forward it to the landlords. Now, many people say, well, we only forward the credit report. Some people forward all the documents. And then some people say, no, I only take snippets. I take snippets and I forward that to the owner. And it's all about preferences, what you want to share. Now, just to say, on Poppy's side, remember the landlord is entitled to see all the information. You are only an extension of the landlord, you're his agent, but you need to, the owner can have access to all the documents. So a tenant can never say, listen, the landlord can't see my documents, because, I mean, he's entering into a relationship with the landlord, not with the agency. So a landlord is entitled to that information if they want to see it. Okay. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing is, I think one should really go have a look at the type of documents. Now, before I proceed, we do it on the easy way. So if you're close by, please type a 1 if you have a specific form that you send the owner, or 2, if you purely forward all the documents to the owner and say, this is the tenant, I suggest we take them, what do you say? If some people can drop a few of those comments for me, I would really appreciate it. A 1 or a 2, just to give us an idea. Oh, you know, love it. People's got forms and they're organized. Okay. Some people say, agent decide, owner has got no input. We only send the documents. So it's a bit of a mixture, hey? In between, so forth. One of the things I do know is it is very tricky. And even as an attorney in the past, I also know that, you know, people come to you for a recommendation, but you have to be very careful, because, I mean, at the end of the day, they are going to hold you liable. And whether you do a form or not a form, whether you make a recommendation or not, we all know if something goes bad, they are going to go and they're going to blame the agent either way. So what do we do? I think the 3 steps that is almost super important when you have all of this data is to simplify the information into meaningful information. What do I mean by that? Is you're going to take all of this and you are going to proceed to have a look and see, can I make it easier to understand? Say, for example, there's a couple of listings, but it's old. to say, listen, there has been defaults, but it's older than 3 years, or the defaults were for small amounts and for acres, but we have proof. Take the information that you have on hand to explain it to the landlords. Also, one of the things I think we all know is people don't want to read a lot of stuff. They want it quick and easy. They want to get to the point. We are on a fast-paced world. So, and also to make things so difficult, it makes it difficult to understand, and that's frustrating. I think I also have to remind you that there's certain jargon that we are used to, that we use on a daily basis, like vetting. I do my vetting. And sometimes I wonder if owners really know what that means. Remember, it's something that if I speak to an agent and we talk about vetting, everybody knows exactly, what it entails and everything. Most landlords don't per se know this. So it's a good opportunity to set out and say, this is what we've done. This is the reason for this, and this is why it's important. That is why it's important to have a look at the aspect of the previous addresses, but don't worry, sometimes it's just typing errors, so this doesn't play a big role. So to take the information and make it in a way that they understand it. Also, put it out in a logical way. I think sometimes we forget about presentation. It's so quickly, we get the information, we drop it in the email, we send it off. Or we send a form that's so small typed, it's like a headache, and it's completed by hand, and it's not easy and nice to read. Maybe just changing your presentation with a bit of a logic and making it a bit more pretty can have a big impact in the communication with the landlord. Remember, you're not just getting a tenant that you can present to the landlord, but you are also showing your value. Remember, this is part of what you are being paid, that placement fee. And a lot of people say, if you ask a landlord, they just got me a tenant and they placed it, and they took this amount of money. Oh, it was so much. But if you can show them and it looks professional, it really has a big impact. So it's also a time to tell them what has been done, and they can see the value of the money that they are getting. And of course, let's get to the point and be concise. Sometimes we double on so many different things. It makes it difficult to really understand what is to focus on and what is not, what is important, what's not important. Maybe you say, I found a foreigner, and the rest of the year is blah, blah, blah. They got sort of stuck on foreigner and they couldn't process the rest. And I'm not picking on foreigners, just to say on Expelo, many of our foreigners are some of our best tenants on our books. I'm just talking about because I know this is around there. So here at Expelo, and I want to share our example and my thoughts with you. And please, if we list something and you go, oh, Elise, no, I think that's a super bad idea, and this is the reason, please unmute, raise your hand, tell me, we want your input. Because I do think if we can make this document available, it is going to help a lot, not just with the tenants and getting the instruction from the landlord, but also to show the landlords the value an agent is offering. So I had a bit of a discussion, and I spoke to Sean Late, and I said to him, what if there's like a standard form, applicant screening report, to say that this is what what I found, that's the valuable thing. Because what you're basically going to do is you're going to put all the documents together, and instead of just sending the credit report, you can actually give them this. And the best part on the top was to say, okay, well, let's start at the beginning. You confirm the address and the applicants. And the first thing, when I saw this, and I also discussed this with Sean Late as well, he is always a very good soundboard, and I know he's like the guru of documents. And I said to him, why do you put rental offered on the top? I mean, the landlord will say to you, he wants 10,000 rand for his unit. Why are you putting that on top? And he said to me, Elise, it is because that sometimes I find a very good tenant. Everything looks good, but they can't offer the 10,000 rand. They're only offering the 9,000 rand for argument's sake. So that is one thing. I'm just noticing something about the sound. I wonder if it is my internet or whether I should change my earphones. Zala, if you can tell me, is it better, Val? Okay. Please let me know if I should.
Elise, we can hear you good. It's just sometimes it's go like a little bit in a dip. And then you clear again.
Okay. Well, let's test it this side, and we can just monitor it. So just to get back, we sometimes say it's rental offered because, like I said, it might be a very good candidate, but he's not offering the amount the landlord wanted. And then the landlord might still want to consider that person. Same thing with time period. Maybe the landlord is a new landlord and he goes, I really just want 6 months or 12 months, or, you know, especially for the people that wants it on a shorter term and say, listen, I found this tenant, but he wants to enter into a 12-month agreement with the idea to stay longer. That gives us an idea. So you bit of painting a picture of this tenant, not just on figures. I like the fact that we sort of address the occupants, and I have to say, the more I get aged, the younger elderly gets. But I put elderly as 65 because technically that is still the thing of they saying if you go on pension, it's 65. But also to give you an idea, are you working with young people, old people? Is there small children? That type of thing. So you're painting a bit of a picture. Same thing. Now, I added others because, I mean, we're not going to go like 2 tarantulas, a snake, and 2 birds, or whatever it can be. But just to give them that idea. And then I thought the next step would be is, what information did you consider to make the following report or conclusion? And this is where I really want people to show your value. Now, the nice thing is, firstly, you're showing your value to the landlord, and principals and administrators. If you have a team that is doing this, it helps them to make sure they do actually what they're supposed to do. I see a lot of new agents that come in, and sometimes they get so excited, you know, they think this is an amazing tenant, and then they take a couple of shortcuts and it comes back and bites us. So this is, and how I drafted this report was, it should be easy to complete. We're all in a hurry. We've got a lot of things. So by doing tick, 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 that will be it can make it very, very easy. So just to say, the good news is I will make this document in a Word format available to everyone at the end. So you can really make it your own and change it. We'll definitely make it available. So on the information considered, it's really telling the landlord, listen, I took everything that I have available, and I took all the reasonable steps an agent can or should do to make a decision or a recommendation. This will also protect you in the future. So if anybody ever comes to you and say, listen, but did you do what you were supposed to do? You can take out this form and say, yes, I confirmed the identity. I confirmed the salary slip, the employment, obtained a credit report, and I followed up with the previous landlord. It sort of just confirms to everybody what has been done. You see, you now show them I've earned my money. I've done all of this already. And this is just the information that you gathered for the landlord. Then if you go down, so just to say, it's only a 2-pager. I just broke it up so it looks better on the slides. Now, the first step is I got all of these documents. And now what has happened? On the employment, I went and I confirmed the place of employment and income. This is interesting because initially I thought it was sufficient to confirm the employment. But then I realized, I can send you a salary slip and I could have maybe not lied about where I'm working, but I might be lying about what I'm earning. So also, different people are relevant for different rentals. So I gave the 3 options. And please, again, if you have feedback or any other ideas, please send it to me. My first one was to say, like, this is first price. I confirmed the employment and the income. You were able to speak to somebody and say, hello, yes, Johnny is working here. He is earning his 20,000 Rand. We are both happy. Maybe you were only able to confirm employment. So you say, listen, I've got the salary slips and they confirmed. In any event, I can see from the salary slip, that's the amount that's getting paid into his bank account. But that is what I've been able to do. And then maybe you should add and say, listen, I could not confirm the place of employment or income. The reason why I listed here is it means that you have tried. Now, this already would be a warning and would be a ground that you maybe say, I do not suggest that you take this tenant. And it explains to them why. It's not because you don't like the person. It's not because you're trying to be difficult. It's because, listen, I'm concerned. You're giving me a company that you're working from and we can't get a hold of anybody in that company. I mean, that's worrisome. So that's one of the things I think is very important with employment. Affordability is a bit more, it's such a big bucket. And I mean, so much work goes into that. But how do you sort of justify? So I put in brackets saying you look at affordability because that's why you get an agent, hey? We rely on our agents to find us and do this work. I mean, even Expello say, listen, we're not going to do the vetting. We rely on your vetting and you need to confirm that you are satisfied with affordability. It's your opinion that is important because you are the professional. So the first one is, I'm satisfied that the applicant can afford the lease obligations. Remember, it doesn't mean that he's going to be able to pay for the rest of his life, firstly. Secondly, it doesn't mean he's not going to default. We have tenants that can afford it, but they refuse to pay because they're difficult. So don't mistake to say that after your investigations, you are satisfied with affordability. That's your opinion, okay? And you're entitled to your opinion. That's why you get contracted. That doesn't mean that it's a guarantee that they're not going to default. This is also where I made the differentiation between number 1 and 2 is, number 2 is maybe one person can't afford it, but jointly they can. And I think that is also relevant. Husband and wife, 2 partners, or a mother and daughter, or whatever the situation is, to say, listen, see, only one person can't afford it, but jointly they can. So that is an option. There's 2, but one can afford it on their own. That's the option. Gives them idea as to what you want to take. Then you have those ones that says the applicant is borderline on affordability of the lease obligations. You'll see I don't talk about rent because it doesn't help them. They can afford the rent, but they can't pay the water and electricity. Okay, so I'm talking about lease obligations. I don't think you should just dismiss and not mention this. We have instances that units has been empty for 6, 8, 12 months. And landlords are becoming really, really desperate. But for them to make a decision, it has to be informed. To say, listen, it's borderline. It means they can afford it at this stage. But should the petrol go up 4 more times, they're going to get stuck, for example. Or if something like major happens, they're definitely going to default, or they will have to make an arrangement. So they're not risk. So as it is, they can afford it. It's tight, but they can afford it. What is your feeling? Maybe some of the other factors of this tenant are so beneficial, you're willing to take that risks. Or maybe this tenant has had such a bad impression, it's sort of an excuse to go, listen, you're just too borderline, we're not interested. And then the last one, say, I'm not satisfied that this person can afford it. This is the main thing, and I think people should voice it. Remember, this is just one of the factors that people take into consideration. But overall, I mean, from Expella's side, we are against anybody entering into an agreement if they cannot afford it. That's the biggest risk. So it's not even, they might have problems. It's no, it's nothing there. Okay, sorry, let's move on. The third one, I think, is also very, very important, because we are seeing more and more tenants defaulting on body corporate rules. People that are so aggressive, intimidating. I mean, overall, terrible people. I'm going to say this, and you have a choice whether you want to enter into an agreement with a person that you deem to be reasonable. I don't say you have to like everyone, but you must be able to work with someone. And you're not going to enter into any agreement with anyone that you do not want a relationship with. So this is things that's important. And remember, this is something an agent can have an opinion about, especially if you meet that tenant to go show them the property. That they arrive where they're friendly, that they cooperate, that they work with you. You know, just everything surrounding it. The references, the applicant's behavior surrounding circumstances indicates a possible good candidate. Yeah? Again, it's your opinion. Your opinion is your opinion. People can have other opinions. Doesn't mean your opinion is wrong. People can have different opinions if they don't agree with you, but it's still your opinion based on the information you have and experienced. Then, so the first one, it's like, I'm happy. I'm impressed with this tenant. It looks good. Everything looks good. I feel good. Then a bit of more neutral responses. I couldn't find evidence that the tenant is not a good tenant. Okay. So it means there's nothing that jumps out going, oh, a fantastic person, but there's nothing jumping out or say that something is wrong. And that's why I put that one in. So there is a difference between the two. And I hope it's not totally confusing, but they said, you know, I'm quite sure most women on today's session had the same thing. You go to a restaurant and now you have to order food. You don't know what you want, but you know what you don't want. Ne? So the elimination process. The third one is also very relevant. Due to insufficient information, unable to determine. So what does this mean? So I couldn't get the previous landlord, or the previous landlord didn't give any information. So I cannot determine if he was a problem tenant in the past. There's nothing on the TPN reports to indicate that he was a defaulting or anything tenant. His behavior is not that sense that creates the, oh, why is he pressing to get this property? There's nothing to say that to give my opinion. So insufficient information. And then of course the last one, say there's things that makes you worry. You know, dodgy things. Listen, I picked up he sent us falsified documents. If you lie by sending us false documents, we have a problem. How can I enter into a trust relationship with someone if they're already lying? I think that is something that is so vital and so true. And you really need to do a tick. Okay. If the landlord wants more information about that specifically, it's also a point where you can discuss it with them. I know in today's days, a lot of people just send me the short version. I'll make a decision. I'll email you back. But some people actually want the communication. So if you send the report saying, yes, you know, this is a report, can we discuss it? You open the door. So yeah, I'm just looking at Val's comment. TPN report included a lease that the estate agency could not provide any information. Val, I'm not sure. What type of information are you not allowed to provide to the landlord? Is that one of their opinions that they said, listen, a agent cannot make the information of the tenant available to the landlord?
No, it's in line with your description of the 4 items under tenant's behavior. So we could not get all the information because the estate agency did not have that lease, even though the lease had a reference number and also had that agency's name on it. They could not find the file. So it was insufficient for me to be able to sign off on it.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So I mean, things like that happen, hey? People will think everything is available, but it's not. Unfortunately, I mean, I think firstly, we are very blessed to have something like TPN, because at least it's a platform where people are giving data about rentals. Same thing with PayProp. But remember, a lease agreement is not a credit report. So the trans unions and the experience, they're not going to tell us about defaults on rentals. And that's the part that's important to us. So we got the documents, we have commented on, the information that we got. Now, of course, I had to put this in because I think it's important. So you got the documents and, addressed it. And then, of course, it's important. Does this applicant qualify for Expello services or not? Now, in my opinion, if you're a landlord and the people put the circle around no, I hope the landlord is going to say, no, I don't want this person, because if Expello thinks they're high risk, it's high risk for me. That's a fine line. And of course, we work with our agents. You know exactly which ones we will accept or not. And if you're not sure, you can reach out to Lizanne, Zelda, Devin, our whole application team, and they will be of assistance. I've put that little thing in. So that is part that I love the most. Then we got the documents, we dissected it, we explained to them what was our opinion. Now we go to our recommendation. Nee? It's not, you're not telling the landlord what to do. You are guiding them, because this is why you get paid. It's not just to find a person, but to guide them whether they should accept it or not. So listen to the wording, and I mean, I'm definitely going to revise it again. But according to all the information, the applicant is a suitable candidate. You see, I'm basing it on. I'm saying, according to the documents in the information I have, we are recommending that this is a suitable candidate. Okay, so the TPN looks good, the finances, everything is there. A reasonable agent would have had a look here, did your due diligence, and you can make that recommendation. We have instances where you can say, despite the credit score, the supporting documents and references, the candidate is still a suitable candidate and should be considered. You all know, you get a credit report, you get that TPN report, and it's red or black because there's no information. It's a foreigner. Young professionals, we're getting people that's entering the market. They have their income, they have no credit, and now it's a problem. So that is something that is something that one should have a look at. Natasha, thank you. Thank you very much. I see it now and I pick it up, and I'm definitely going to fix it before I share it. So the 3.3 is that borderline and cannot be suggested as a suitable candidate with confidence. You know that one which you go, I don't know. It can go either way. It's a 50-50. I mean, I had a couple of conversations in my team as well with agents, and they phone and they go, I don't know. I mean, yes, they might have a good TPN, or maybe the default they have, it's not that bad. But I mean, so you have to say if you don't know. Doesn't mean that you are not a professional. Doesn't mean you don't have the experience. It actually means you have experience enough to say, listen, I can tell you that I cannot place this person with confidence. But I have an obligation to tell you I found someone, and I would suggest let's try and see if we cannot find somebody else. If it's a unit that's struggling to find tenants, you would maybe rather take the person that's borderline than the one that is in the bad. So that's something that one should consider. And then the debate was about the last one, 3.4. The applicant is not a suitable candidate according to the property practitioner's criteria. So I defined it a bit more, because I understand that you can have some landlords that can just be difficult. Go, no, I don't want this one, I want another one. And then everything above is good. I mean, it's a good tenant, everything looks good, and you've done all this work, and then suddenly they don't want to take them because they didn't like the hair color or whatever reason. They just want you to go find more people. So can we quickly, on a quick poll, I'm not doing fancy polls, but on a base of 1 to 2, do you think it's worthwhile to add 3.4? Yes. and no for number. If you put 2, it's no. You guys can just 1 or 2. Are you guys a bit worried? In my mind, I think it's important to say that if you're not feeling comfortable with a tenant or not, it's not telling the landlord what they should do. Remember, the landlords still have their opinions, and we leave a place for notes. So that is something. So do you think we should add 3.4? Yes or no for 3.4? Okay. I'm giving more chance. We're leading to it's no. Okay, 50-50 still. Okay. The fun part is this is a Word format. Okay. So you guys can decide whether you want to add it or not or change it. Natasha, and that's a good point. If it's a very bad person, you'll tell them, I got something, but they're so bad, I'm not going to send it to you. So maybe it's 3.4 would be, listen, I would not even present this if that was an option. So that's a very good comment. I liked it. Okay. So 3.4, if you take these forms and you guys are going to test it to make it your own, please give me feedback. I am going to bug you about it because you can't improve anything if we don't know what's happening. So the next part is super important. And I sometimes think this is where a lot of agents think they are covered, but they're not. I see a lot of agents, they say, Elise, I can't raise my opinion. I cannot tell the landlord whether it's a good tenant or a bad tenant, whether they should consider taking them or not. It's not my choice. It's all to the landlord. And I think they say this because they think if they make a suggestion and the land goes with it and something goes wrong, they're going to be held liable. But the thing is, where they're going to determine whether you are going to be held liable for negligence is, did you do step 1 and 2? Did you get the documents? Did you do all the processes? If you've done all of that, and you said, based on the information I had, on my opinion, I made it clear. I'm in my opinion. And if you are still a candidate practitioner, I mean, your principal should actually come in and say, listen, we checked it and we are happy to make this proposal. Then you are covered, whether you advise them or not. Even if the landlord doesn't, if you tell the landlord, here's the information, you make the choice, but you didn't do your work properly, you can still be held liable. So I put in 5, and again, it's a work in progress, but we'll share it and we update it. But I think this is a valuable thing, is to say the above recommendations were based on the information obtained from the applicant and the various resources. Okay. This is also mean, like, landlord, please know I'm not CSI. I'm not going to get a private investigator to investigate each and every. I'm not going to take blood tests to make sure that this person is indeed who he is. I take the information. I do have checks. I mean, we try to prevent fraud and we check all of that, but fraud happens. I mean, I still see people that did such an amazing job that nobody could have known that it's a fraudulent situation. So, but you've taken everything. Despite taking all reasonable steps to ensure fraudulent documents were not taken into consideration, does not mean we can guarantee the information is true over and above the proof that was obtained. Okay, protecting you. And I'm explaining what do I mean by that, okay? Vetting is based on historical data. This means in the future, unforeseen events can take place, which might influence the applicant's performance, and the property practitioner may not be held liable. This is something people don't understand. Do you know how many times I hear, but, oh, this agent gave this person to me and now he defaulted. And I go back and I said to the landlord, I see you, but when they placed him, that person was good. Nobody could have known that this person's going to default. The checks were done. Everything is in place. So we're sort of trying to take that out. So that is why it's important to say, listen, you cannot hold an agent liable. And then it comes down to the decision. It's decision time. And I think sometimes it's important to tick, and I would suggest, to maybe move it around. The first one, I think, it should be the obvious answer. You are going to present a good tenant. Owner, ideally, you should take the person, hereby accept the applicant as suggested by the property practitioner. Okay? they said they have opinion, I will accept them on that basis. Maybe we should just say, I accept the applicant based on the information, not the suggestion. I'll think about that a bit more. 6.2, I hereby accept the applicant despite the suggestion by the property practitioner. And that's where it came down to. We still find landlords where the agent goes, do not take this tenant. The landlord goes, I will want this tenant. Why? And I know especially they go very often, they say, listen, you can take the tenant, but I'm not even willing to manage it. So people go to those extremes. So I promise you, if you're managing the property and they tick 6.2 and there's something goes wrong, the landlord cannot fight with you. And it's nice, go back. What was the landlord's decision? I do not accept the applicant and request the property practitioner to find alternative applicant. I've just added again, same thing with the previous one we had. The landlord should just confirm that, listen, yes, I do not want this person. Maybe it's because it's borderline. You were happy to take this, give this person a chance, because it's borderline. The landlord is not, it doesn't have any appetite for risk. I think rentals alone has risk. So he doesn't want, he only wants the A-rated perfect tenant. He doesn't want to consider somebody that might have a bit of a problem. So I think that is where it's important. If you think of any other options or decisions, please drop it in the chat or please email me, share it with me. I do think there's a need for something like this. I'm almost wanting to say that this form will, even by when you complete it, sometimes when you go through everything and you complete something, it sort of summarizes things for you. And by the time you get there, you know already whether this is a good person or not, by just doing those various checks. Tell me, I know there's been a request for this form. Is this, let the first question, the people that already have forms, are your forms similar to this? Is this the core things that you have? Or do you think there is something valuable on this? Can I get a yes for one or two for no? I'm making you work this morning, hey? It's because you guys know. Oh, Nikki, I love it. So we should give that lady a bell. Okay. I'm so happy that you guys are loving this. That really, really means a lot. Okay, so we will share this. We'll make it available. If you don't get our email for some odd reason, always make sure that you do receive emails from Elise at Expello or any Expello account. Sometimes we get blocked and you don't get it. If you didn't get it, please let us know. We can even WhatsApp it to you. So I think the most important thing of today is whether you use a form or not, show the landlord what you are giving them. Take it and put it in a way that makes it valuable, the information. Make it presentation amazing. Even if you have to design a nice email template that you just forward it. But you are taking all the ingredients and you're presenting a cake to the landlord. And if that cake looks like, you know, quick baked muffins with no icing, they're going to get more impressed. Then they might go like, I can't believe I paid them so much. So have a look at it. Just focus, make that small tweak. Make the landlords feel they're getting what they are paying for. I hope that is valuable. So to everyone, I just want to see, Val, there's a question. But can 6.2 be qualified? The landlord giving reasons or base their accept based on additional requirements. We can put in a space or one can discuss it. I think that is part where you have the discussion with the landlords. Also remember, if you guide your landlord, in a way, you'll get the information and they'll know when to make a decision or not. Sometimes I say, we're not getting responses or the answers we want because we're not asking the questions correctly. So if you're asking something or you're not getting the response from your landlord you want, maybe you must just change your question away and approach, and that might help. So to everyone, thank you very, very much for joining us today. There's my details. There's Armand's details. there's our broadcast list. You got messages from me this morning. Sorry, I realized I just sent it and it says tomorrow, but it's not tomorrow. Please scan this code and somebody from our office will contact you. We've got more hands. We come and visit more people. If you want us to come and do some training, speak to your agents. If there's any need, please tell us and we will be there to support you as much as possible. We want to thank each and every agency for your amazing hard work. We want to say thank you for your support and be safe, stay warm, and speak to you guys soon. People in Cape Town, please don't let me talk to myself. We're looking forward to meet you there. Thank you. Bye.